Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be quickly covering some of the short forms we can use to make cron entries a little bit easier to write. Now, this assumes that you're already familiar with the basics of what cron is and how it works. If you're not, I've already recorded a video introducing the basics of cron and what it's supposed to do for us. So do feel free to go review that if you'd like. Now, as you're familiar with the basics of cron and that 5-field schedule form, with a little experience, you'll start to notice there are some schedules that are pretty common, like having something that has to happen once an hour, or once a day, or once a week. So there are some simple ways that we can, make these schedules a little bit easier to use. So you can create these directories, or actually they should already exist on your system, /etc cron.hourly, /etc cron.daily, /etc cron.weekly, and cron.monthly. And a user who has access to this directory can place a script, or more typically a symbolic link to a script, into these directories, and every hour on the hour, cron will look into cron.hourly. And if it sees an executable in there, it will run that. Every day at midnight, cron will look at cron.daily. And any executable that's in there, it will run. Every day, or every Sunday at midnight, cron will look at cron.weekly. And if there's an executable in there, it will run. And every month, first day of the month at midnight, cron will look in cron.monthly and run any executable that's in there. Now it's currently halfway through the hour, so I can't really demonstrate one of these for you, but I encourage you, put together a simple command, something that maybe says hello world or hello and prints out the date or something. Throw that in cron.hourly, make sure it's executable, and see that it occurs. You can also write several short forms into your actual cron tables in case you don't want to give somebody carte blanche to access those directories. I'm going to start from the bottom of this list and then work towards the top, and I'll explain why in a second. Instead of having to type out 5 fields to make something happen every hour, that is on the 0th minute of every hour, of every day of the month, of every month, regardless of what day of the week it is, you could just type in @hourly. And it means run this task once an hour when, the hour ticks over. If you needed to have something run once a day, you could type in on the 0th minute of the 0th hour of every day, every day of the month, every month of the year, regardless of what day of the week it is, or you could type in at midnight or at daily. They both mean the same thing. They both mean run this task at midnight. If you wanted it to run on a different hour, like say at 1 a.m., unfortunately there's not a short form for that, but the 5-field form isn't really that terrible once you get used to it. If you wanted to have something run once a week, you could type in on the 0th minute of the 0th hour, every day of the month, every month, as long as it's a Sunday, or you could just type in at weekly. If you wanted to have something run once a month, you could put in 0th minute of the 0th hour of the first day of the month, every month, whatever weekday it happens to be. Or you could type in at monthly. If you want to have something run once a year, 0th minute of the 0th hour of the first day of January of any day of the week, or you could type in at annually or at yearly. They both mean, run at midnight January 1st. I often get a question in class, why isn't there a short form for at minutely? Well, you probably don't have a task that really needs to be run every minute. That would be somewhat unusual. But if you do, just put in 5 stars. Every minute, every hour, every day of the month, every weekday. That would be faster than typing at minutely anyway. And the whole reason that I started this list from the bottom instead of the top, there's a special one here that you can't actually type in the 5-field form. At reboot. That is, when the machine starts up, just once, well, once per boot, run this command. And a really good example of this that I run into in CentOS 8 a lot is with the named service. There seems to be an issue with it where it sometimes starts up before Network Manager fully starts up, so it doesn't end up actually listening to all the network interfaces it's supposed to. And a really simple way around that is at reboot, sleep 10 seconds, systemctl restart named, or some other task that you want to make sure happens at reboot. For example, I have a coworker who always likes to turn off SE Linux. So I could write a cron table entry that every time you reboot the machine, SE Linux goes back to enforcing. So, just a quick little video, just to show you some shortcuts. I'm not even going to practically demonstrate them. You can do that yourself, just to see some simpler forms for some common cron schedules. And this will be somewhat handy for a system administrator. There will be tasks that you need to have run once a week, or once a month, or once a year, or once a day, or whatever. And yes, you could manually type in the 5 fields yourself, or you could take advantage of these nice little shortcuts for it. This will just make it easier for us to easily automate these repetitive, mundane tasks that take up our time, but don't really need our complex thought. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.